Hello and welcome to part 2 of the video useFetch. In the previous video we talked about useFetch, how can we implement this as a custom hook and use it in our application to get the state of loading, error and data. But apparently people have had questions about this is mounted, and when it's true, is it going to ever be false, and things like that. So I thought that it would be nice that I provide explanatory video about that is mounted, because it's very important topic in React. Okay, so if you haven't checked the previous video, there is a link up here. Please go and check the previous video. Otherwise, let's get into the code and see what is this is mount. So now, if we take a look at this effect that we have here, starting from here and going up to here, in the beginning we have is mounted true, and then we set the loading, which shows that the data is being fetched, and then we would fetch. When the data comes, we would check the is mounted, and if it's true, then we would set the data. Now, when do we set the is mounted to false? It's down here, when the cleanup function is run. This cleanup function is run when there is a change in the, for example, in the URL, in whatever this use effect is dependent on, or when the component unmounts. So if, for example, I get another URL and send it to this useFetch, we have changed the dependency of this use effect, so it will run. But before running again, it will first do the cleanup function running this, and then it will start the use effect again. Okay, but we don't care about the changing the URL. The thing that we care about today is when the component unmounts. So let me change this code that I have down here so that we could see that how we can unmount this hook, which is currently being used in the application here. So I would go and create a list component down here, and the thing that I do here is basically, I don't need this console log. I will have these parts here, and then also this return part, but not this part, but I mean this part. Okay, so return this, and then I can use this list here. Okay, so it works the same. Now I want to render this list conditionally. So if I go here and say I have state, saying that this is visible, and then set visible use state. In the beginning it's false. Then I have a button to toggle this state. So on click, set visible to the opposite of visible. Let's say toggle list, and then close the button like so. This is button like so. Now it should work the same. Here I would conditionally render list, meaning that if it's visible, then I want to render the list. Otherwise, I don't want to render the list. So now if I click on this, the list component renders, and we would fetch the data. So it should work the same. Loading, and I get the data. But the point is this. If while the data is being loaded, I go and click the toggle list again, still this is run. So see, I would go here and say console.log setting the data. Let's go here, clean up. Now see what happens. If I click the toggle list, after data is received, I would get this, and while the component is mounted, I will get this one as well. Data fetched, setting the data. Works perfectly as it was. But if I click this, and while the loading is being shown, I click this one again. So if I am fast enough, when the data arrives, the component is unmounted. Let's see, let me clear this up. See, data fetched, but it's not set because the component has already unmounted. So let me explain it again for you. In the beginning, I have this part, the visible is false, so this is not running, I can't see any list. As I click this button, the visible will be set, so the list will be mounted. In the list, I am using this custom hook, so I would go up here to this effect. I would set the is mounted to true, send a request to this URL and wait for the answer. So this is in the waiting for the URL to response back. Okay. Now, if before this data comes, I go and click on this toggle list, this visibility will be false. So this list component will unmount. So I would go here, not I, but React would go here and run this. So is mounted will be false. But sometime in the future, this data will arrive, although the component is unmounted. So this will run. And as you can see, data fetched is run because we are inside this. Then, although the component is unmounted. Now this is the tricky part. If I don't have this is unmounted, I would set the data, which will result in a memory leak. So I'm setting some data on the memory and there is no component to use it. So to avoid that, we need to have this is mounted here. So I hope it's clear now. If this video is useful for you, please provide a like, comment, or even subscribe to my channel, and see you in the next video.